Alright, hello everybody. So, recording from my phone today, so sorry if the video looks a little bit weird, but today I'm going to be reviewing The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. It is the second book in the Wheel of Time series, which is a 14-book, 15 if you count the prequel, epic fantasy series, and yeah, I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. So, just before I start, the first portion of this review is going to be spoiler-free, so if you haven't read the book or the series, any books in the series, that's completely okay, and then I'll give like a warning before I start talking about any spoilers. So, the first thing I kind of want to say is that going into this series, after I read the first book, like I had some pretty high expectations going into it. I had heard that it's really good, and so I was expecting something good. And the first book lived up to those expectations. It 100% met everything that I thought it was going to be. This book surpassed my expectations. It just, I knew it was going to be good. I knew that they were going to be, but it accomplishes so much. I was so impressed with it, and what it really did was it got me excited for the rest of the series. I would say that is the biggest thing that this book accomplished, is it made me so excited to read the rest of the series. Because just from book 1 to book 2, so much growth and character development happens that like I just can't wait to see what Robert Jordan is able to do over 14 books. Like, you can have so much happen in 14 books. You could literally have like someone be born and then like them grow up and then them like have a kid, and then that kid grow up in 14 books. Like, you could do all of that and it would be like realistic. You could get like enough out of it that way. I don't think that that's gonna happen, but I do. It's just it's really enjoyable to be able to get into this gigantic universe. But to kind of carry off of that is, I wouldn't call it a con for myself, but I do know that it's a con for a lot of people, is that one of the things about this series is that it is a little daunting. Like, I've now read like 2 decently sized books, and I'm only a 7th of the way through the series. And so that's a lot. That is a little bit. And some people, they do kind of like the payoff, where they want to finish a series within like a reasonable amount of time, and so I could totally get, if you're not really looking for like something that's like super long, some very long drawn out series, this might not be the best series for you. But what I would have to say though is that while it is a long series, every book does wrap up in or at least the first 2 wrap up in a pretty satisfying way, where while there is obviously still a lot to go, is you feel satisfied at the end. You do get this satisfied feeling that you just finished something, which I enjoy. Where The Great Hunt really shined for me, and kind of the series in general, is 100% with the strong characters. Robert Jordan writes these very dynamic, fleshed out characters where they feel like people. They all have different kind of motivations. There's a lot of moral grayness where you don't necessarily know what to think about certain people. Like, you could have reasons that you don't like, just as many reasons that you like someone as you don't like someone. Like, nobody is kind of immune to like, oh, there's no one that's really like completely good or completely bad. There's a lot of that there, which I personally really enjoy. And then the other thing is the magic system in this book is really cool. This whole world, I can't get into it, without getting into spoilers, but it's a very kind of complex system that does a lot. I really think it's one of the coolest magic systems that I've ever read. So that is another very big pro. It's a very big pro of this book. That really kind of wraps up everything I have to say in terms of spoiler free. So if you haven't read this series, I would so recommend it. It is really good. Just give it a try. If you're a fan of fantasy at all, even if you're not a fan of fantasy and you're just a fan of like great characters and like a compelling story, I really think it's for you. Like, even if you don't like some of the more cheesy elements of fantasy, I think that if you can look past that a little bit, you can really enjoy this book for the great characters and the plot and everything. So that concludes the spoiler free section. So if you haven't read the book, don't go any further, because now I'm about to talk about some things that happen. And boy, do a lot of things happen. There is no way that I could do, like, you could do an hour video like talking about every cool thing about this book, so I'm obviously not going to do that, but I can talk about a few of the specific things that I really enjoyed. For starters, I love where Rand's character is going. Like, it seems kind of, you can kind of see where it's going, but it's so much fun to watch. Like, you see him kind of becoming this, like, he starts out, he's just this farm boy, but now you see him kind of growing into, you know, he like wears like the nicer like the Lord's clothes, and you see him, he's kind of becoming a leader, and it's kind of obvious, like, you know, that like, oh, that's where it's going, but it doesn't feel like cheesy or forced. Like, you feel by the end of this book, you feel like Rand is more of a leader than he was at the beginning, and I really, really enjoyed that. But the other kind of flip side of that is you see him kind of starting this like descent into madness that we've heard so much about, like men who are able to touch like the true source, the one power. You're starting to see that, which is so cool. It is so cool to see this, like, he's kind of coming up, but at the same time falling down, and it just gets me so excited to read the rest of the series, to see, you know, where it goes. And then one of the other things that I really liked about this is that Robert Jordan so far has done a really good job of like tying in characters that you like met in one spot and then bringing them over here. One of my favorite scenes in the whole book is when Egwene gets to Tarvalon, and she meets like Elaine, and like Elaine knew Rand, and like Egwene is like super mad that, like, you know, Rand was like talking to this, you know, this princess, and then Elaine is like, oh, well, there's actually some other girl here who knows Rand, and like Egwene's like, oh, you don't say. And just in her head, she's like, I'm gonna kill him. I hate him. And then like Elaine's like, oh, there's actually another girl here. There's like five, or no, it'd be four or five different girls who all knew Rand from different scenarios, who all have kind of come here, which just, I loved that. Just Egwene's reaction to it was hysterical. I loved that part. Yeah, one of the only things, like, in terms of spoilers, that I didn't like about this book, and it's not even that I didn't like it, it's just that I wish it wasn't there. We didn't get very much Moraine in this book, Moraine or Lan. We got a little bit, and the parts that we did get of them were awesome. But, like, I like Moraine because, like, Moraine is the knowledge. Like, whenever Moraine is in a scene, I feel like you, like, learn new things about the world. Like, she is the source of knowledge. It's so far that we've been introduced to. Like, she's always revealing new things that like really affect the plot. So like, I love all the scenes that she's in because they really drive the plot forward. So it kind of sucked not having her in it that much, but I mean, it was still good. And then I really like Lan. Lan is one of my favorite characters, so it sucked not having him there for a good chunk of it. And then one of my other favorite characters is Nynaeve. I really, really like how, like, she's so driven by anger. That is so cool. And like, there's such a parallel, in my opinion, between her and then Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. Like, they're very similar characters. I don't know, we'll see, but like, they're just this kind of being driven by hate, which I find really interesting. So yeah, Nynaeve, love Nynaeve. But overall, I would have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed The Great Hunt. It was so good. I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know, because you read the first book in the series and you expect that to kind of be like one of the best ones, but like, this was better. This was better, and like, I feel like it's gonna keep getting better, and I'm so excited for that. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you agreed or disagreed or have a comment on anything that I said in this video, you know, please leave a comment below, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.